Wheel arrangements often have nicknames which, when taken at face value, can be all sorts of confusing. For instance, the 060 wheel arrangement is often referred to as six-coupled, due to their six-coupled driving wheels. Despite 460s also having six-coupled driving wheels, and 460s are nicknamed 10-wheelers. The 462 wheel arrangement is nicknamed Pacific. The common accepted reason for this is the first true Pacific locomotives worked in New Zealand. The 464 wheel arrangement was first used in France, where it gained the name Baltic, after the Baltic Sea. This name originating from the fact the Baltics hold expresses which ran between Paris and St. Petersburg. But in America, the 464 configuration was known by a different name. The Hudson type. If you were to ask any rail enthusiast worth their salt which company was almost synonymous with the 464 wheel arrangement, chances are they will answer the New York Central Railroad. Despite this, they were not the first to put forth a design of the type that would be the Milwaukee Road. The story of the New York Central Hudsons starts with the K5B Pacific locomotives. By 1926, construction on this crack express loco ceased, and Paul Kiefer, Chief of Motive Power of the Central, set his team to work on an enlarged version of the K5. As it was, the K5 was an excellent design, held back by the size limitations the wheel arrangement and weight restrictions allowed, as well as the increasing weight of the new rolling stock. The big benefit of a Pacific is the possibility of adding a wide firebox. A wide firebox means more surface area for the firebed, means more combustion, means more heat, means more steaming capabilities. So what if they took the 462 arrangement and fitted an even larger boiler and firebox to boot? The concept had been proven to work in the USA by Lima's 284 Berkshire locomotives, made famous nowadays by the Polar Express. The solution seemed simple. Take a Pacific and add an extra pair of supporting wheels at the back. The prototype for this super-powered loco was numbered 52,000, completed in 1927. Classified J1, its rigorous testing proved the validity of the design, and a total of 205 were built. These initial locomotives were divided between the central subsidiaries between 1927 and 31, with subdivisions ranging from J1A to J1E. No doubt the most famous of the J1s is number 5344. In 1934, the unnamed locomotive was sent to the West Albany Works, and re-emerged as the first American locomotive to be adorned with sheet metal streamlining. Now painted grey and named after a former owner of the Central, Commodore Vanderbilt threw the gauntlet down for any further streamlining in the States. This will be important later. It hadn't even been a year since the introduction of the J1A when a development of the class emerged, classified J2, with 20 having been built for the Bolton and Albany Railroad. After these 20, there was a pause on construction of Hudsons, as the new locomotives were nicknamed after the Hudson River. This halt on construction was kept up until the first of 50 J3s came out in 1937. These J3s, with their smaller heating surface when compared to their predecessors, were so powerful that the usual working of a 275 psi boiler led to the locos bending their connecting rods at slow speeds, so the working pressure had to be lowered to 265. The Js could manage the usual 18-car rigs unassisted, and had an average speed of 88 km an hour. One Hudson, holding 21 cars, was even timed at 100. What the Js were excellent at was getting their immense power down to the rails at high speeds. Naturally, they suffered from the same problem that most large-wheeled locomotives suffer from, which is wheel slip at low speeds. In order to get the class to perform adequately at the lower speeds, the class was built with a booster truck. With the Hudsons, it takes the form of an extra pair of powered wheels under the cab, which is what this little chimney is for. This too will be important later. In the age of streamlining, especially in the United States, a lot of railroads had to choose between having their locomotives appear modern, what for 1930 standards, or having them be functional. Famously, many engineers hated streamlining, as it obscured the beauty of their locomotives whilst also making maintenance a little tricky. William A. Stanier from the London Midland and Scottish Railway was well known for disliking the bulbous form it gave his Pacific so much that he would only let streamlined engines be built if he could also build them in a conventional form. Commodore Vanderbilt was no exception. Whilst not bulbous, the sheeting made the locomotive heavier and still obscured the features you want to be in easy reach for fitters. The Central wanted to keep up appearance, but he also wanted the locomotives to be maintained to keep up their great performance. Henry Dreyfuss, apparently his name is pronounced Dreyfuss, a celebrity in designing circles, was commissioned to combine the best of both worlds. His take on the streamlining was applied to the final 10 J3As, this subdivision being known as the Super Hudson. The Supers first emerged in 1938. These 10 streamlined Js quickly became the most iconic of all the Hudsons, being used on the 20th Century Limited service. The Vanderbilt was also retrofitted with the same style of streamlining, although it was not a regular performer on the Limited. Another pair of J3As were fitted with a similar take on the Dreyfuss streamlining for hauling the Empire State Express. Note the black lower half of the boiler and cowl, and the corrugated metal sheeting in front of the cab. This pair were numbers 5426 and 5429, and they inaugurated the service on December 7th, 1941, which surely couldn't be viewed as anything less than a Greek tragedy after the fact whatsoever. The Hudson streamlining didn't make the same mistakes that contemporary designs had made. The front and top of the locomotive mostly consisted of smooth surfaces, and it is vital that the streamlining carries on for the length of the engine. But the sides are left fully exposed. This part of the Hudson's tale is but a footnote. Within a decade, the streamlining had to be removed due to wartime measures. There are images out there of Hudsons only partially de-streamlined and still adorning the silver paint, and it does look quite funny. The J's were not without flaw though. As previously mentioned, they were hopeless on slow trains and going uphill, and the booster truck meant to aid in such situations was unreliable. Maintaining what is essentially a tiny steam motor inside of a significantly bigger steam engine is also very time consuming. The 464 wheel arrangement was superseded by the 484 configuration, which replaced the Hudsons on the 16-hour 20th Century Limited run between New York City and Chicago, Illinois in 1945. Despite this displacement, the Hudsons could still find plenty of work on other daily high-speed long-distance trains. Perhaps the most indignant duty to be entrusted to the Hudsons were the Norfolk and Western's coal drags. The Hudsons had to double head these long rakes of hoppers, and despite still looking graceful, they were not best suited to freight work. The post-war period saw most American steam locomotives demoted to less and less important work, allowing the new motive power to take over, and the J's were no exception. They soldiered on until the end came with dieselization in 1957. The 275 New York Central Hudsons once made up 63% of all American 464 locomotives. Nowadays, though, they make up 0%. I sure hope you enjoyed this look at an American icon. Like the R-Class I covered before this, I thought it was quite funny how the main thing people know this class for, the streamlined J3As, is such a footnote in their history. I would also like to express my slight annoyance that online sources don't elaborate on it either. The structure of descriptions of the Hudson's history usually goes K5, New 464, Dreyfuss, 20th Century Limited, dieselization. Oh well. I suppose that's just the way things were. Railways people take for granted and such. I do apologise for letting people wait this long for an entry in the TGL playlist. I'll look into what suggestions wouldn't be a pain to cross-reference, so I can produce another episode in a shorter time frame. Anyway, that's for future me to worry about. Thank you for watching. The link to the train simulator engines that I used in this video will be in the description and in the pinned comment. And I hope to see you in the next episode. Cheerio!